So do you think these places that are leading on Bitcoin adoption are also the best for Bitcoin holders to basically have their physical location, not just their allocation on Bitcoin, but also their location in these countries?
Well, I think the risk of seizure is always there. And this is another reason why I think education and getting countries onto a Bitcoin standard is important, because if the government is made up of Bitcoiners, it'll be less likely they'll be inclined to seize, because once you have that precedent, once you have that mechanism, that can be used against you too. So you just have to imagine, like, I was talking to someone about this actually. So gold technically can be seized, but the seizure of gold is relatively simple and straightforward. Either you have it in the bank and then you get 6102'd, or you have some physical gold in your possession and they just go, yoink. But to get Bitcoin out of your head, that requires locking you up in isolation for years, and potentially other things too that are not fun to talk about. But to put yourself in that position as a Bitcoiner, do you want that to happen to you? And if you're the government, when you're not in power, do you want that to happen to you or your children or your family? I think the answer is largely no. So because the process of extraction of private keys from wetware is much more complex, I think there will be more safeguards put into place against that, right? And in a hyper-Bitcoinized world, I think there are many laws that need to come into place that will enshrine privacy, because you could just happen to have a seed phrase in your pocket. You're moving it somewhere, right? And you could get pulled over at a stop and it'll be caught on camera from a body cam of a police officer. What happens then? Like, maybe the police officer didn't read it or memorize it, but someone else with access to the footage would have access to that. And there is not enough levels of protection right now that would defend you against that sort of inadvertent seizure. But I think those things will need to be addressed further down the road, or just in general, protection of your digital information on your devices. Because when you cross borders now, your phone could be seized, and there are a number of tools out there that can download it, and maybe it'll be kept for decryption at a later date when the technology is available. But there are all these things that are weak points that need to be augmented to make people more sovereign and more protected. And we're not really there yet in terms of what governments care about so far. But I think overall, I think the direction is, if the government has Bitcoin, knows about Bitcoin, and the people are Bitcoiners, we'll be in a better place.